In my life, there's nothing more important than working on animal rights. You know, if they love a dog, why not love a cow? If they love a cat, why not love a chicken? But then they torture and kill the cow. They both have two eyes. They both have a central nervous system. They both want to be healthy. They both want to be happy.
Merhaba Patidio'ya izleyicileri. Bugün Zorlu Performans Sanatları Merkezi'ndeyiz. Neden buradayız? Çünkü Moby'nin konseri var. Birazdan Moby'nin konserini izleyeceğiz. Ama onun öncesinde hayvan hakları ile ilgili Patidio'ya için özel bir röportaj gerçekleştireceğiz. The first question is about being vegan. You have been vegan almost for 40 years, so it's a long time actually. Can you compare to early days of being vegan to today's? Do you think that the world has become a better place for veganism?
Well, I went vegan in 1987, so 39 years ago. And when I went vegan, it was so strange that no one even knew how to pronounce the word vegan. You know, you would go to a vegetarian restaurant and you would ask for vegan food, and they would look at you like they didn't know what you're talking about. Or they would say vegan food or vegan. I think in 1987, there were 2 vegan restaurants in the entire world. Maybe 3, definitely probably no more than 3 vegan restaurants. There are a lot of vegetarian restaurants, but the vegan world was so small back then. I knew one other vegan, and I knew one vegan restaurant in New York City. But now, I think of a place like New York City, that has 60 vegan restaurants. I think of London, I think of Berlin, I think of all these places. We were just in Copenhagen that has like Michelin-starred vegan restaurants. So obviously it's changed a lot. But it hasn't changed enough. I'm still waiting for humans to recognize that if you're horrified by animal suffering, you should not be contributing to animal suffering. To me, it's the most logical thing in the world. Like if someone doesn't want to be a part of hurting and killing animals, their life should reflect that. Their diet should reflect that. Their clothes should reflect that. So it's a bit confusing that 99% of the people on the planet still are not vegan.
Also, there are many people, increasing actually in Turkey, many people are being vegan. So, do you have any message for them, for Turkish people who are vegan? Because actually our cuisine is so comfortable to be a vegan.
Well, the first most important thing, I say like my suggestions for animal rights activists and for vegans. One is you have to take care of yourself. In the United States, I know a lot of animal rights activists who've burned themselves out, either through eating junk food or taking too many drugs or drinking or not exercising. Like you have to be healthy because the goal is to be a vegan and an animal rights activist every day for the rest of your life. And to do that, you need to be healthy. The second is no infighting. Animal rights activists are not allowed to fight other animal rights activists. I know they want to sometimes, but we know who our enemies are. Our enemies are McDonald's, our enemies is Burger King, our enemies it's the fur industry, fight them. Vegans should not be fighting vegans. Animal rights activists should not be fighting animal rights activists.
Do you think that being an animal activist and vegan influenced your music? Are they feeding each other?
Well, there's some musicians who are really good at writing issue-oriented songs. I made a documentary a few years ago called The Punk Rock Vegan Movie, and we talked about like a lot of punk rock bands like Earth Crisis and Crass and Gorilla Biscuits and Rise Against who've written great animal-based songs. I'm not very good at that. I would say that the music I make tends to be a bit more ambiguous and emotional and not political and issue-oriented. I'm very political and issue-oriented. I just never figured out how to write good political music.
Also, I want to ask about your donation. You donated the income from your Coachella shows to animal welfare organizations. I want to ask you about your motivation about that.
Well, in my life, there's nothing more important than working on animal rights. It's more important than my happiness, it's more important than my health, it's more important than my bank account. That's my goal, is to do everything and anything I can to help advance animal rights. So to me, it's never even a question. It's figuring out just the best way of trying to do that. As one person with limited resources and limited time, I just need to figure out how to use my resources and time as best and most effectively as I can for animal rights.
Also, I want to give a short, I don't know what kind of information you have about animal rights in Turkey right now. 2 years ago, it's short information for you. 2 years ago, a law passed, and that is about animal rights, but we in public, we call it genocide law, because they want to collect stray dogs and cats from the streets and then put them in shelter, and then you can imagine in Turkey we have very bad conditions in shelters, so they are dying actually, most of them there. So it's so important to ask that. Also, animal rights activists are being targeted by government. So do you want to say something to in Turkey who are animal rights activists and actually artists like you? We need some power actually, because it's really bad days for us.
The key for me as animal rights activists is to keep going, no matter what. When things are good, you keep working. When things are bad, you keep working. And it's also figuring out what's the best way of working as an animal rights activist. Like in the United States, there are a lot of animal rights activists, some of whom have become politicians, some of whom have become film producers, some of whom have become musicians, some of whom have become chefs and restaurant owners and cookbook authors, some of whom have become illustrators. It's learning how to do everything that can help. And it's hard because in order to stay sane, we have to keep the information about animal suffering and death over here, because 1 trillion animals every year are killed by humans. They all die in pain. If we pay too much attention to that, we'll go crazy. So it's learning how to continue to work as animal rights activists without losing our mind, and because it's too easy. If I go crazy, which maybe I am, but if I go crazier, it doesn't help the animals. And the only question that ever matters is, does this help the animals?
Thank you so much. And have you heard about Istanbul cats?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to walk around and see some cats or pet someone?
Yeah, I did see some, as we were driving from the airport, I did see some cats, yeah.
Actually, besides the bad law, actually there are many cats and dogs at the streets, so many people also feeding them and caring for them. So this kind of city, Istanbul, do you think that, what kind of feeling you have as an animal rights activist being in Istanbul? What kind of feeling are you?
My goal when someone loves cats or someone loves dogs is to extend it. If they love a dog, why not love a cow? If they love a cat, why not love a chicken? Why not love a pig? It's the most confusing thing in the world to me is you have a dog and a cow, and someone will feed the dog and care for the dog and love the dog and give the dog medical care, but then they torture and kill the cow. Cats are interesting, but I don't understand when someone only likes cats and continues to eat hamburgers and chicken and pigs. To me, it's connecting people to that basic truth that all animals simply want to live their life free from pain and suffering.
Do you want to say something about Istanbul? Because maybe you will have time, because I read an article you said you want to visit the shelters. Is it true,
Well,
or I read something?
I mean, my main focus as an animal rights activist is farm animals, you know, cows, pigs, chickens, because just in terms of numbers, those are the biggest numbers. You know, so I care about dogs, I care about cats, but my focus is, you know, farmed animals. And unfortunately, farm animal sanctuaries tend to be quite far away. You know, there are dog rescues, there are cat rescues, and they do great work, but if I was to visit a sanctuary, it would be a vegan animal, like a farmed animal sanctuary, and most cities don't have those in, you know, like there aren't too many cow and pig and chicken and goat and lamb and sheep sanctuaries in cities. So, yeah, I feel like the cows, the dogs and the cats deserve love and attention, but they get a lot of love and attention. It's the cows, the pigs, the fish, the sheep, the chickens, that's my focus.
Thank you so much. My question was like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to add something maybe for our
Do I want
followers?
to add something? I guess my hope and suggestion and piece of advice for everyone is like, yeah, look, take care of yourself and try not to go too crazy. Because living in this world where there's so much suffering and there's so much cruelty, it's hard to stay sane. You know, but the animals need us to be sane. The animals don't need crazy, broken, dysfunctional animal rights activists.
Thank you so much. Yes, you're right.